Hey guys, Sirak here. Today we'll be doing an overview of one of my Lord of the Ring maps, the Battle for Middle-earth, more specifically, the Rohan overview. In my previous videos, you can learn about the major guidelines of the map, the Mordor, Elves, and Goblins overview. In this video, I will be focusing on Player 4, Rohan. At the start, Rohan has their town center a little left of the center of the map, in Edoras. Edoras also houses the siege workshop of Rohan, as well as King Theoden, Gamling, and Éowyn. To the east of Edoras, you can find Alberg. And to the south of Alberg, you can find Dunharrow, which is marked by the tent. Now, west of Dunharrow, you can find Helm's Deep with the Hornburg, as well as Hama. To the north of Helm's Deep, you can actually find the Exiled Camp, where you will find Éomer and some elite Rohirrim that are not yet available to you, and will come to a quest that I will explain a little bit later. To the west of that, you will find Theodred and his advanced camp right before the fords of Isengard. And in Rivendell, you can find Merry in Pepin. And to the west, you can find the city of Bree. Pony. Lastly, just west of Lothlorien, you can find Rosgobel with Radagast. Now, despite appearances, Rohan is mostly concentrated in one place, and it is protected from the east by Gondor. So you can see if you go to the east, you have Caer Andros here holding the line going into Rohan. So the only immediate accessible enemy is through the ford of Isengard. Have no worries, there will be plenty of action coming from Isengard on that front. And lastly, if you look just above Edoras, you can actually see the Ents with Treebeard. Who are stuck within the trees. Now, for the Rohan heroes, it is crucial that I mention King Theoden first. As you can see, King Theoden starts dying at the start of the game. Nothing is done, he will be dead by minute 9 in game. However, putting him in a castle like so will save Theoden's life and will heal him. You'd either need a monk or Radagast to keep him on the field to heal him, but it is also very risky to use him while he's dying. Radagast could technically make it to Rohan to save Theoden's life in time, but I wouldn't risk it in case something happens, or if pathing gets a little bit mixed up along the way. If Theoden dies, it gives a bonus to both Isengard and the Evil Men, giving both of them their HP buffs. He's also needed for quite a few quests. Once Wormtongue is killed, however, King Theoden gains a large buff to his stats and is no longer dying. Gamling, if he's killed, makes Theoden weaker. If Éowyn is killed, she makes the Nazguls, especially the Witch King, considerably stronger. If Hama should fall in battle, he will make the Hornburg weaker, and he, along with Gamling and Theoden, are needed for the Peasants quest, which I'll go over in just a second. If Theodred dies, so decided to go. Theodred dies, he will give Isengard one of their HP bonuses, as well as starts the Armored Uruk-hai spawn. Éomer, although initially not yours, until the quest for him is completed, will buff the Evil Men if he is killed. Radagast, if he's killed, will give HP buff for the Goblins. Merry and Pepin die, they weaken the Ents considerably and can stop some of the quests. That you will be needing them for the Fellowship. And for the spawn that Rohan get, they really only have two different spawns. The first is easily accessible unit is the Peasant spawn. So in Helm's Deep, you need to bring Theoden, Gamling, and Hama to Helm's Deep near the castle, or even in the castle, as the player here has done, and you will start spawning some peasants. For the other spawn, you'll need to obtain Aomer. And to obtain Aomer, you'll need to build 20 Rohirrim, which is your unique unit, the Magyar Hussar, and bring Theoden to the exile camp. So as long as you have 20 Magyar Hussars on the field and you bring Theoden here, the elite Rohirrim as well as Aomer will become yours, and you will also start the spawn for the heavy Rohirrim. It should be noted that if the exile camp tower here is destroyed, you'll no longer spawn the heavy Rohirrim. So for some of the other quests that are available to Rohan, if you bring Merry and Pippin to Bree, alongside with Aragorn, Frodo, and Sam, you'll start the Dunedain spawn for Gondor. If you bring Pippin and Gandalf to Minas Tirith, Pippin will get a nice buff, become a tower guard, and will transfer ownership of Pippin to Gondor. If Pippin and Gandalf are in Minas Tirith, and this does not actually matter which player actually controls Pippin, if they're both in Minas Tirith and Mordor has 20 raises, you will end up lighting the beacons, where you will get some elite Rohirrim near Dunharrow. If you bring Merry and Theoden to Edoras once Wormtongue is dead, Merry gets a nice buff as well, just like Pippin becoming a tower guard. If you kill the dam in the back of Isengard's base, you'll free the Ent and do heavy damage to the remaining buildings of Isengard. Dol Guldur is defeated. You can actually bring Radagast here, where you can actually go and build a watchtower to keep evil at bay. For the Fellowship quests, Merry and Pippin are needed in Lothlorien, along with Galadriel, Legolas, Aragorn, Boromir, Frodo, Sam, and Gimli. So for the HP buffs for Rohan, you will mostly have to focus on Isengard and their heroes. So killing Saruman will give an HP buff to Rohan, and the same goes with Ugluk, as well as a large buff to Theodred. Killing the Black Serpent from the Evil Men will also give you the HP buff. Killing Isengard, so there's actually two castles stacked on top of each other, so killing them will actually give you an HP buff as well. Now the main strategy for Rohan is to put pressure on Isengard. Isengard stands alone and at the bottom of the Misty Mountains. And if you can call the hut called Dunlin, which is right here, you'll actually take away the Isengard tribute, which is quite significant and will give you an edge in the fight against them. The gap of Rohan, which is around here, so this part right here, as you can see, is quite long and is quite narrow, which makes for a great choke point in the case Isengard eventually pushes through. However, if you can, these towers here, as well as the walls, which have been buffed, will actually make it easier for you to keep holding against the forts of Isengard. Rohan is actually slower than the other good factions just because you don't have access to docks, so you don't get any fishing ships. You can, however, sneak a vill later in Mirkwood or by the Grey Havens to have more room and have a bigger economy. The Magyar Hussars are actually a great unique unit for you, as well as cheap since they don't cost you any gold. So you can focus on making siege on your very deadly heavy cavalry archers and paladins. Make sure that you don't forget both unique techs, as they will help the best of your forces. Being the Magyars, you will be heavily reliant on mounted units, so make sure that you have an answer to spears. And I think that's it for Rohan, and I will see you next time with an overview on Isengard.